Can someone please explain to me under what realm of existence this actually makes logical sense? Ayo, keep it high, keep it tight. It's Jay Mercer, Review Guy, back to bring you another review. And in this one, we're going to be talking about Kids See Ghosts' self-titled album. My mind's blown. I can't... Okay. I've been making a lot of videos on Kanye West recently. And the bad thing is there's even more coming down the line because I'm probably going to review the Pusha T album, Daytona, and Kanye West was the producer on it. I'm sorry, but the dude won't stop. And he's so big in music, and he's so big in general, and yet somehow he continues to make music. And at this point, I almost want him to make a dud just so I can stop talking so highly of him. Because how is it possible that he releases an album like Ye or Ye? I gave that a 6 out of 10. I said it was above average, but it was lesser than the rest of his discography. He produces Pusha T's album Daytona, and that album is great. He comes out with this dual project with Kid Cudi entitled Kids See Ghosts, and it ends up being better than half of Kanye West's discography for the past about, I don't know, 5 to 7 years, and better than nearly all, if not all, of Kid Cudi's entire discography that he has ever done. This album has been receiving widespread acclaim, and I had to check it out because I was just like, there is no way that Kanye is able to do this with all he's been going through, all of the controversy, releasing this album under such acclaim, like people are putting it under. That is impossible. And I hate to say it, and there's been so many great albums that have come out this year, and it's going to make it such a pain, such a thorn in my side when it comes to making my end-year list for my top albums. And I've said this with quite a few albums. This could be album of the year. It's that good. It's only 7 tracks. It's fairly short. And it's better. I can already tell you, it's leagues better than Ye or Ye, whatever you want to call it. It's already leagues better than that album. It's already better than anything I've ever heard from Kid Cudi. I'm not a big fan of Kid Cudi, but this album, he just became one of my favorite, like, rappers. Would you want to call this album a rap album? It's not a rap album. Okay, so I need to just dig into this album and stop, because this is going to be... I don't need editing for this. I don't need to do anything special just because this is such an easy album to talk about, but it's kind of like there's an old quote that was said by a reporter over Ernest Hemingway's famous novel, A Farewell to Arms. And I'm paraphrasing this, but I've read it quite a few times, so I should be able to get it fairly on the spot. And basically what it says is, talking highly of this novel is like speaking about the Grand Canyon. Any talk of it just sounds like empty babbling. And that's how I feel about this album. So, it's a hip-hop experimental psychedelic type of album that combines a lot of different samples and elements from both early Kanye West as well as a lot of Kid Cudi stuff. But I'm going to be honest, this is better than Kid Cudi's discography, and I'm sorry if you're a fan of him. I've never been a personal fan of him until now. I'm on the bandwagon now. That's the least you can say about this whole ordeal, is that I'm on the bandwagon now of being a fan of him. So let's just dig into these tracks. Let's dig into this album as a whole. I already have a feeling this is going to be a longer review than usual. Okay, so the first track, Feel the Love, it's 2 minutes, 45 seconds in length, and it starts the album off on such a high point that I legitimately don't want to over-exaggerate this, but my jaw did drop at the start of the song. So this song, it features Pusha T, and I think that both Kanye and Kid Cudi, they play off of each other's strengths, but they also are able to bring in guest stars throughout this album that spice it up and give each track even more life. And I was immediately impressed by this song. From the first part where you hear the I can still feel the love, and it goes like kind of fairly higher and it fades away and it has this echoey reverb type of effect as it fades away into the background with this instrumental. All of the instrumentals on this album are very hot, they're very bangerish, they're not weak. You don't get any beats that feel out of place, and if anything, they feel unique, they feel different, they feel full of spice and life, and they really bring a lot of atmosphere to the song that you are listening to, combined with the lyricism. But Feel the Love starts the album off on an extremely strong point. And one thing I was not expecting was to have Kanye West come in mid-verse and in a classic Kanye style, completely just remove any boundaries of what the norm is for music and just proceed to, for the next 30 seconds, over these hard-hitting snares to just be going brah, brah, ka, ka, brah, 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 brah. It's like, and I can't even replicate it because he's like at one point singing as he's doing this, and I'm just sitting there laughing and at the same time bobbing my head and tapping my foot because I'm like, how is this possible? How am I listening to this, and how is it this good? Because you get Ye, and you get the Pusha T record, and you get all the publicity that Kanye's been in, and yet he's still able, after this long in his career and after this like long stream of just great albums, producing great albums, being in great albums, whether it be like cameo guest appearances or writing and performing his own music, he is able to just push forward this effort that is in a lot of ways different, but still being Kanye. He's still crazy as ever. I mean, in a good way. Everyone knows that Kanye has this habit of being very out there, being very avant-garde and artsy, and he does things that are not in the norm. He does things that are strange, and this album is not any type of different playing ground, and this isn't something he's not familiar with, but he really expands on that and makes this album, along with Kid Cudi, makes this album his playground for these 7 tracks, and they both ace this. The lyricism on this album, it ranges from a lot of different topics, and I really like the parts where they kind of, you can tell there's either double meaning or they're being straightforward about issues that they've dealt with like depression or mental illness. That's one big thing that has really impacted a lot of Kanye West's music, and something I firmly believe in is art and music and writing as a form of taking your issues, putting them out into the forefront, and looking at them from a distance, overlooking your issues, and saying, how can I fix it, or at least acknowledging what had already been fixed. And on the final song on the album, track 7, Cudi Montage, this is just a great showcase of how both of these rapper singers are able to acknowledge that they do have issues, that there is mental issues, and whether it be in the past or the present, or if they know it's going to be in the future. And lyrically, you have these points where it's just classic rap, where it's fun, like the third track, Fourth Dimension. It's funny. It's funny. They mix in so many different types of kind of lyrical components to where it's a diverse album, and for being only 7 tracks, it feels like a lot more. because you're going through this journey with these two rappers slash singers slash just people, and with these guest stars throughout the album littered appropriately. They don't feel like meaningless rap performances, might I add, because a lot of guest appearances on rap albums are just there to be there, and they don't really add much to the song. All of the appearances on this album really add to the songs that they are representing alongside Kid Cudi and Kanye. But these tracks, for only having 7 of them, and for being a fairly short album, just like Pusha T's Daytona, and just like Kanye West's album Ye or Yay, this feels like it lasts longer than it does. And once you're over, you want it to last longer, because it takes this idea, this fully kind of almost far-fetched idea that you wouldn't think would work. And if I can say one thing about this album without trying to sugarcoat it, this album is very psychedelic. And I love that. I love the fact that it has this psychedelic, experimental hip-hop, experimental rap feel that is even more expanded on by the fact that you have these two men that have a lot of talent on their shoulders, alongside other guest stars that also have talent on their shoulders, and it makes for a great album experience. I mean, track number 5, Reborn, I love this track so much. It's a great track, and it features Ty Dolla $ign, and no, that's not Ty Dolla $ign, it's doesn't it have a feature on it? Because I know it's the longest. It's like 5 minutes and 25 seconds. I might be wrong on that, actually. Or yeah, I think I'm wrong on that. Ty Dolla $ign, he's on the song... no, I know what song he's on. He's on the song Ghost Town Part 2. And that's kind of something I can bring up. That's a good segue. Is Ghost Town Part 2, or Free, is kind of a sequel to the song that was on Kanye's album Ye or Yay, which was called Ghost Town. And I think that's kind of cool. It's kind of X-Files theme type of stuff, where is it connected? Are the two songs connected? Are the albums connected? And I have no complaints about this album. There's a part of me, okay, here's my only gripe with the album, and it's the type of thing that I'm so conflicted on. Some points it feels so out there and so avant-garde that it's almost a bit wonky to listen to, but I feel at the same time simultaneously that gives it some of its charm, and it gives it some of its own personal kind of enigmatic type of feel, where it's hard to ascertain what it is that's about this album that's so catchy and so great. And going into this album, I wasn't expecting much, despite hearing so much widespread acclaim. I knew Kid Cudi and Kanye are popular, so I was like, maybe these are just critics that are saying this because they're popular. And this album shouldn't have worked as well as it does. It succeeds on every level. And I'm gonna be hard-pressed to not give Album of the Year to this album. And, like, damn it, Kanye, stop! Stop making good albums and producing good albums. It needs to stop. I need to stop talking about albums you make or produce or are in. This album is probably going to be Album of the Year. And unless there's just, like, a bunch of bombshells that come out with, like, other albums. But damn, this is a good album. And I've listened to it multiple times over, and I'm just, like, every time, my jaw is on the floor, because this shouldn't have worked as well as it did. But it did, and it worked out in aces. And both performances, as well as all of the guest performances, are so well tailored. The instrumentals are a perfect mix of in-your-face abrasive, but sometimes lo-fi, And the mixing and production on this album is phenomenal. They don't compromise anything, and it sounds great from start to finish when it comes to the mixing. And that's important on rap records. The mixing on Yay or Ye, that's something that I don't know if I mentioned this in the review, is that I wasn't a big fan of the mixing on that album, the overall construction and production of the album. This album is not just above Yay or Ye. It's not just above Kid Cudi's discography, entire discography. This is honestly one of the most intriguing albums that I have heard in a long time. And I'm just going to go ahead and say it. It's a 10 out of 10. I mean, if you haven't gotten that already. And, boy, I mean, there's so much I could go into with this album. And I don't want to delve in too long because I know I've been talking about it for a while, but it deserves it. This is going to be one of the longest reviews I have ever done, but it deserves it. And I hope the people that are still here, go check this album out if you haven't. And this is their first #1 album. Not like on Billboard or anything. This is their first album, their debut album. What's next? If this is what you consider to be the humble beginning, then what's next? But when you do consider the fact that they're both previously established musicians, then you can kind of understand why it's as good as it is. So will they be able to live up to the hype, or will the next album be kind of a flimsy or flip-floppy type of album? I don't really want to think about that. I just kind of want to live in the moment and love this album for what it is. And what it is an amazing atmospheric experience that combines psychedelic strings with guitar stuff. I mean, Cutty Montage has a Kurt Cobain sample. Like, where are you gonna get this all in 7 tracks? I mean, it truly does baffle me how just good this album is. It really does baffle me, and I didn't want it to be as good as it was, but it is. It really is. And I mean, it's a 23-minute album, and it could be album of the year. But then again, Kanye's discography recently, whether it be like the Pusha T record or the his own record or this record, it showcases that he is creative as ever. And if anything, the controversy and the personal struggle is not getting to him. If anything, it's making everything that he puts a finger on 10 times better. And I swear to God, if he releases more music this year, I'm done. But yeah, I mean, I'm sitting here thinking, is there anything more to say? There's not really much more that I can personally say about this album. Go check it out for yourself. I'm going to put a link in the description to the Wikipedia page for this album. If you want to read up about it, you can go find all the tracks on YouTube. No one's uploaded the full album. There's some people that are uploading like fake versions of the full album, but they're not actually the versions. So you can go check that out for yourself. But yeah, there's not much more I really need to say, talk about here. I'd love to hear what you guys think of the album. Post in the comment section below. My name is Jay Mercer, Review Guy, and I'm signing off saying farewell.
Oh no, what your mama gonna say when I tell her that I broke no heart? It's just things aren't the way that they used to be. Oh no, now you crying on the bathroom floor, and I guess it's the end.